In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the 212th Airbourne Trooper for the 30th anniversary line, and he was figure number 7 in that line. Another iconic clone trooper and a fan favorite among a lot of people. And he is just a straight repaint of the Mace Windu Attack Battalion commander here, which I talked about in a lot more depth in the video for him. So for this video, we're mostly just going to be going over like some of the paint differences. There are a few, obviously, besides the color, like a few of the battle damage and weathering and things like that. But other than that, the accessories are almost the exact same. The main difference is like in the rifle here. This is the older style rifle, while this one is the more flimsy one, which is kind of interesting because in 2007, more of the clone troopers, I think, had the flimsier rifle, but the Airbourne trooper here actually had the older style. Interesting difference. But other than that, those are pretty much the main differences. So I got this guy brand new. I didn't get him back in 2007, unfortunately. I think I did see him in stores a couple times, but I just didn't end up getting around to getting him, unfortunately. But I got this guy brand new for about $21 and free shipping back in 2017. And he's actually the Ultimate Galactic Battle Hunt version, which I think were only for the first few action figures in the 30th anniversary line. This was a thing that was more prevalent in the Saga collection, which I have talked about before on the channel, specifically with the Republic Commando Scorch video. Instead of having an extra shiny display base and then a silver hologram, the 30th anniversary line had a gold color coin instead of the silver one, and that was about the main difference. As far as price is concerned, I haven't really noticed a huge difference between the Ultimate Galactic Battle Hunt action figures and the original counterparts. Maybe a couple dollars more at most, but it's not really significant. And I don't think they were quite as rare as their originals, or I think it was about the same amount of supply for both. I don't recall them being extremely difficult to track down back in the day. But they could have been, and maybe it was an area thing. So the main draw with the Airbourne Trooper is the helmet. Most of the sculpt here is the same as most other clones, other than like besides the helmet, the shoulder as well. For the left shoulder, it has this interesting sculpting work here. So it kind of reminds me of like ammo casing in a way, similar to like his satchel here. And he does have some extra weathering on him. Some extra scrapes and scuffs. Kind of similar to the antenna mold clone here. I think Hasbro was trying to be consistent in that regard. I'm glad they were. Looks really good. You can tell he's seen some action and he's been on battling on Utpal for a while. Has it on his helmet and throughout his entire armor here. Now, one thing I really like they did is the orange paint across his just above his visor there. Kind of reminds me of like a handprint in a way. I think that looks really good. Lots of orange markings all around, especially on the thighs here and on the crotch piece. And on the torso, there's a lot of scrapes and scuffs and things like that. The boots as well. Articulation is the exact same as the antenna mold. Nothing new about that. The only other thing I'll show is because of the sculpting work on the shoulder here. can be a little bit more hindered. Instead of going like 90 degrees, it only goes about 45, but it's not really an issue. Accessories, besides the removable helmet. Now, this guy does have the red eyes, which some of the clones had in the era, which I always thought was interesting. But other than that, it's the same Tamora Morrison head sculpt that was prevalent at the time. Helmet fits on pretty good. It does have the satchel, which has, in this case, I put it on backwards, but gives him a little bit of variety. He does have the DC-17 pistol tucked in away in there, which does fit into place pretty good. And then, as I said, the older DC-15 rifle, which I appreciate more anyway. I'm glad Hasbro included this one. It's more durable, more sturdy, fits better in the clone's hand. The comma here is not removable, I don't think. To be honest, I've never tried. But yeah, it looks like it's a separate piece, but it's molded together, so if you really wanted to take this off, you would have to cut it. But while this guy, as you can see, had these lines in the back of here, which I assume is supposed to be some weathering, he doesn't have that here so much. Just some minor differences. Fortunately, this guy has not yellowed so much either. I can tell the white's a little bit off on the torso, but it's not to the point where it's like, oh, he's severely yellowed. And then last but not least is the collector coin, which I mentioned is a gold color instead. You see it says it was an Airbourne Trooper, then clone Trooper at the bottom there, and then 30th, number 7. And then on the back, I think it just says Revenge of the Sith, but maybe it says Ultimate Galactic Hunt as well. And that's the only gold color coin I have. At some point I would like to get the silver one as well. It's alongside Commander Cody. And the 212th clone again. And we'll just compare them to the Shadow clone as well. They look pretty good together. I think that's all I can really, I think that's all I can really tell you about the Airbourne Trooper here. Would I recommend for your collection? I definitely would. If you're a fan of clones, if you're a big fan of the 212th, this is definitely a must-have for you in that case. It's a great way to just add some extra variety to your clone collection. Instead of having just all antenna molds or all phase 2 looks or phase 1 looks, this is a great way to add a little bit of variety. I treat them as like a medic in a way. I'm not sure if these guys are a medic. In fact, I'm not even sure exactly what the roles of the airborne troopers are. I would have to go back and brush up on that. I know I have read that information before, but it's been a little bit since I've looked at it. But you could treat them as like a medic or whatever you want. Use your imagination. But it's a great clone trooper. Great trooper to potentially army build. And would like to get more down the road. One other thing I will mention is that the Hot Toys Airborne Trooper recently went up for a pre-order. If that's something you're interested in, it looks great, but I don't think I'll be getting that. As great as a lot of the Hot Toys action figures look, and they seem to be releasing so many great ones lately, I have to call it off somewhere. But if that's something that is of interest to you, I would recommend checking that one out as well. But anyways, that concludes this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for playing more in the future. There will always be more to come. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate your support, and check out the links in the description if you haven't done so already. And as always, thanks for watching.